The head coach of the Atlanta Falcons always enjoyed our chats in the non-playing season, as we like to call it, as he was getting ready for his first campaign as head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, now 4-4 heading to Dallas for a big Week 10 game, fresh off a big dub in New Orleans. On the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line is Arthur Smith, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, Rich, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Mid-season, I know that not a lot of coaches do that, so I greatly do appreciate the phone call. We heard about the Cowboys last week and what the Broncos were able to do to them, and we hear people saying, yeah, just bury the tape. Cowboys should just bury the tape. What does the upcoming opposing coach do with that tape, Arthur Smith?
Well, I think you look at the entire body of work. The Cowboys, in my opinion, they have one of the more talented rosters in the league. There's a reason they're 6-2. They got playmakers all over the field on offense and defense. So we got a heck of a challenge on Sunday, but we're excited about going down there.
So there is stuff, obviously, for you to pick up from something that everybody says the other team should bury, clearly, right, for you?
Well, it's not necessarily works like that. I mean, NFL's tough. I mean, it's always say if you want to live for the week-to-week narratives, I mean, it'll eat you alive. And you just got to take the body of work. Things happen in the game, and the way the momentum shifts, turnovers or non-turnovers that you think are turnovers, like on the punt, all those things. There's a cause and effect to every game. So, credit to Denver, but we know that the Dallas Cowboys, to me, are one of the more premier teams in this league, and we're excited about going down there.
Arthur Smith, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Ever since Cordarrelle Patterson came out of college, Coach, the words associated with him were upside potential that you clearly have tapped into in a way that he has not had it tapped into in previous stops. When did you first have this idea that Cordarrelle could do it all, essentially, for your team?
Really, when we signed him. So we had a vision for him, and there's stuff that we practiced with him in the spring. And as we built those packages during camp, they look pretty good. And obviously we were really vanilla in the preseason trying to build the depth of the roster. And then, as we got in the regular season, it really was down in Tampa that it started to take shape. And then obviously what we the way that game ended in the fourth quarter was ugly, but we knew that it was going to break through. And he made some big plays in that Giants game, and then the Washington game here. He kind of went off, and your guy, the Mattrel, is feeding the ball. So.
Arthur, come on, Arthur, don't feed into it.
Excuse me. He may feed the animals. It's his zoo right here. Come on now.
You made his week, Coach.
You really did. You really did. To use it in the form of a sentence too, Coach. Wow. My gosh, that's great. Did you bring it up to him? Did you bring it up to him at any point?
Yeah, I mean that's what and I think he's running with it. So. We just got to get it on his cleats.
That's what he said right after he found Cordarrelle towards the end of the game against the Saints. He went up top, and then that was a huge play for you that got your kicker out on the field for the winner. He screamed at you, "I'm the Mattrel," right? That's what he did. Pounded
That's
his
pretty
chest.
much what he said. It was loud in there, but I pretty much saw the same thing you did. You just kind of lip reading, whatever. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I heard.
Oh, man, I love when guests give me what I want. It's just it's terrific. There is an I in Rich and Eisen. I am a team player, but I love it. I do love seeing that stuff, man. And so how has this been part of your vision? What Ryan up top to Patterson, right? Like this is what you're trying to draw up in big time moments of big time games and seeing it in front of you against the Saints. How does that propel your team in your estimation, Coach?
Well, like all our guys, I mean, we have a really unselfish team. So we're right in the middle of it, and it's where you want to be. You want to be playing meaningful games in the middle of November or early November as you get into December. And so, we're good with where we're at. We feel like we can play a lot better, and we need to. But very pleased. I mean, this is a fun group to coach. We've had guys step up in big moments. I don't think there's been a better clutch kicker in the league this year than Younghoe Koo. We've had different guys make plays in big moments. So very pleased, and hopefully we just keep improving.
Arthur Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show. And so Kyle Pitts and his development, where can he get better in your estimation? so far?
Yeah, there's a lot of places.
Like what?
Kyle's got the right mindset. I mean, just the little nuances of route running, and he's such a quick learner. And then, as guys make the transition into the NFL, I mean, they quickly realize that everybody's fast in the NFL. And these guys, there's some really smart players and smart coaches on the other side. And, it's a week to week. And it's probably what I think surprises rookies is the mental challenge to prepare yourself week to week. That is what can exhaust some guys. And that's what you're trying to fight, that fatigue. But with Kyle, he's really, really mature for just turning 21. And all the little nuances that he picks up on pretty quick. He's made some really big plays for us and critical moments, and I think he's just scratching the surface.
Can you give me an example of the nuance or the preparation?
Sure. Early in the year, and just how you're playing versus man and how you want to create separation in your route craft with your releases or your second-level releases when you're in the middle part, or how you're going to lean guys to set them up and to have a stem and then have something off it. And that's why he's able to win on the outside when he gets pressed. It's why he's able to win in the middle of the numbers, whether he's running a crossing route or an out-breaking route. And he's getting open and making key plays. And sometimes in college, if you're just bigger and faster, you can just run by people. But everybody's fast here. They know they study your route tree. But he's come up big, whether it's in Miami. And he's had big moments in just about every game.
How about force-feeding him in the red zone more? Coach, how about making sure he scores more touchdowns?
You can try that, and if you want to be obvious and let people take people away, but we got a lot of people that score. I mean, there's a reason that Emmy-nominated Zacchaeus has got 3 touchdowns because we preach unselfish play. It may make some fantasy football GMs angry at me, but that was the way we played in Tennessee. And then some guys just naturally they take over, but. Very pleased. I mean, when one guy draws attention, you better be able to go somewhere else. Otherwise, you got no plan. They can take you away.
I hear you, but Kyle Pitts is
the only one.
Yes, I do, Coach. I'm just walking through the front door. I'm walking through the front door. Yes, I do.
Well, at least you're transparent. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit more in the end zone is all I'm asking for. Because he's got that ability. He can high point it. He can, as you say, create the space. He can do all sorts of stuff like that. I'm just trying to talk his game up to the coach. No,
I hear you.
Okay, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Arthur Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show. So turning to a much more serious issue, Calvin Ridley, Coach, and how do you handle a player saying to you, "I need a break. I need to step away right now"? How do you, and I guess handle is the wrong word for it, how do you welcome that? How does that sound, for a better way to phrase it? Because handle is a much more, it's infused with something that's negative. And I think, obviously, him requiring the time is positive. And I'm just wondering how you take that in as a coach in your first year doing
players, it. We care about every person we have in this building that works on this football staff as a part of this team, from the equipment room to the video room to the players to the coaches and everybody that's a part of this team. And so I think what you're realizing now is, I think in football everybody can see visible injuries, and I think as we realize in society, certainly things have come to light, whether it was COVID and the things that have gone on with mental health, or you look at the veterans and coming out of 20 years of warfare. There's a lot of the invisible injuries are they're serious, and anybody that needs help with anything, that whether it's like I said, visible injury or invisible injury, we'll do everything we can to help.
And so what is, I guess, the plan for Calvin? Did you just wait for him to say
those things are, Rich, like everybody, I don't disclose people's injuries. Those are
correct.
Personal. The players can speak. Calvin put out a statement that, he wanted to put out there, and I'll let that stand. I'll let Calvin speak for Calvin, just like I would for any player on this team. If they want to talk about they have a knee injury, that's their prerogative to talk about it. But it's not going to come from me. Let the talk about their own personal, anything they got going on.
Of course. No, and I totally understand that. My question is, do you wait for him to say I'm ready, and you just go about your business otherwise? That's I guess the question.
the way you look at it, big picture, there's always things with every player, and you can't, people need, like I said, I take it back to any injury anybody has or something comes up and there's a life event.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys on this roster. We got a lot of guys that have different guys that played week to week, and we don't force anything. We wouldn't force anybody back from any kind of injury. So we take it, day by day or week by week, and that's how we view it. So there's no timetable on it, and nor would I push anybody on that.
Arthur Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show. Last couple of minutes with you, Coach. Is there anything in the first 8 weeks that part of your job that was something unexpected, something that you were ready for because you kind of focused on it? Anything over the first 2 months of the season that you can share about being at HC for the first time in the NFL?
Well, you prepare yourself. I think when you come into the office every day, you said there's other things that are going to come up, and if you think every day is going to be perfect and you're in the wrong profession or you're just naive. And so you try to prepare yourself for it, and you try not to overreact because there's plenty of things that come up day to day. We have a good group here. We have a great staff. So the other thing is just kind of focusing. The biggest challenge in the NFL is not to live and die by the week to week or day to day narratives, because if you do that, it can be ugly for people, players and coaches. And so I feel like everything I've done, not skipping any steps, been around some great coaches, it's helped me prepare for this.
Okay, so drown people like me out. Is that the message that you're giving to your team, Coach? I mean,
I wouldn't call it drowning out. It's just, you take the entertainment for what it's worth. Entertain.
And is it something you pointed out to your team, watching the Braves do what they do and seeing what a parade looks like in your town? Did anything like that come up? There's
lessons learned. I mean, like whether a couple of years ago, I told the story where I was. I have two nephews at the Naval Academy. One was graduating, so I was in Annapolis for a weekend. I go to the Nationals game. This was in 19, I believe, Memorial Day weekend, and I go to. They're sitting there saying they need to, trade all their pitchers away, build for the future, and then they were a couple months later winning the World Series. I think you kind of saw the same thing with the Braves. It happens in sports over and over. It kind of goes back to the point of like living and dying with the day-to-day short-term narratives.
All right. And then I know it's another team, but in your division, did you hear the news that Cam Newton is back in your division, that the Panthers signed him?
Well, it's good. It's good for the Panthers. Good for Cam. It's good for the NFL.
Okay.
So every week there's new challengers. There's great players. We got our big challenges this week, and that's kind of what we're focused on is Dallas. We got our hands full. Like I said, it's probably one of the more talented rosters in the league, and we got to go on the road in a meaningful game here in November.
Appreciate the time. Say hi to the Matchel for me, and I appreciate
I will. I'll
using
tell the Matchel you said hello.
Appreciate you using it in the form of a sentence like that. You really have made my day, and you have angered the rest of everybody around here. But that's okay. You do you. You do you, Coach. Thanks for the call.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rich.
That's Arthur Smith, everybody, head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. You do you, sir. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.